I'm Sky.
I'm Finn.
I'm Delaney.
I'm Harrison.
And we are
And we're
And we are
And we're
Blue Crew Broadcast.
welcome back, Alta Loma Braves. It's great to be back in the new year. This is the Blue Crew Broadcast. I'm Finn McBride.
And I'm Sky.
And we're happy to be back. That was kind of a woozy of a year, and there is a lot to talk about. And this is already a pretty crazy start to pretty crazy year. But
yeah,
like I said, I'm really happy to be here. Today is going to be kind of like just a relaxed discussion, just about as a reflection of last year. Focus on the good things like winter break and the holidays and stuff. And then we're going to just talk about 2021 in somewhat of an optimistic lens because, in spite of everything that happened, we have so much to look forward to. And sometimes it's really important to focus on those.
Yes, very true. Feels like it's been forever since we recorded. So before we get into the discussion, a couple of announcements. First, welcome back to school. Make sure that you're looking out for the new schedule. Obviously, by this time we've already gone through a week of it, but it still can be a little confusing. Obviously, that's posted on Canvas. For anyone interested in baseball and softball, look in your messages from in Canvas. Also, Dr. Brownbridge sent out the flyers and information if you are wanting to get involved in those two sports. And then lastly, seniors, our form that was sent out to us about senior gear before break was invalid. But there's been a new one sent out. So if you were wanting to order that, make sure you go and fill out the new form so that your order will be placed and you can get your senior gear. Yeah. So with that, I say we start talking about our wonderful 2021 that's already going on. How's your 2021 going so far, Finn?
Not much has changed rather than I bought a planner, what we used to have when we were in person was we, like, at least for freshman year, we could get planners. And that was something I never like truly successfully incorporated into my life. Just like, as ironic as it may seem, like just, I feel like having like motivating myself to like try to plan out my weeks and my days is just something that's like essential, especially kind of just realizing how how long we've kind of like been at home. Some people like go out more than others, and I feel like it's good to like balance relaxation with organization. I said that before on our finals episode, and I think I'm as ready as I can be for this year right now. And I'm excited for a year full of just like planning for what's to come, organization, being on top of things, because, like last year was kind of a wash, and that's okay. It's okay to, have a break, but sometimes it's just like you got to get back on the horse. And I'm really planning on that. And I'm really planning on finishing my senior year strong. So
Absolutely.
how the past week or so been for you?
Stressful. I didn't expect to go in. I feel like second semester came full force this year. And I think that's also just because of getting still like social distance, but still got to look to the bright side, I guess you could say. But like you were saying, there is a lot of planning going on. Especially, I feel like more planning this semester than last semester, since last semester, it was like applying for colleges and all that. Now it's like actually planning our future and stuff. But all good things to look forward to. Only got to keep a positive mindset for this year, because I know last year was very easy to get down on things. But I feel like even though this year's already had a crazy start as far as like society and the world, we can still look forward to a lot of things, just in general. So.
Yeah, and that's a pretty important point about just staying positive when we can. And obviously, like there's a time, place, and context for given attitudes, but that kind of works its way into a look back. And the question is just, what did you? Okay, well, I mean, me personally, I feel like the winter break was super essential, and it was very relaxing and really like good way or decent way, the best way possible to finish this year. So my question is how your winter break went.
Well, my first week of winter break was very relaxing, just unwinding. And then second week, I got COVID. So that week and then the first week of the year was filled with just trying to recover. I'm all good now, but my dad still has it. So, interesting way to end 2020. Everything happened over COVID and then end it. But it was good to actually not have to be stressed and unwind, like you were saying. It was definitely needed for sure. How was yours?
Well, I just want to like touch back on. I mean, I wish you and your family like the speediest of recoveries, and
Thank you.
that's quite the conclusion. That kind of was not exactly what I just said, but yeah, I'm glad that you still have a positive outlook after that. And well, on a like, did you celebrate the holidays or like New Year's at all? Did you do anything? Did anything cool?
Yeah, I celebrated Christmas and the New Year's. I mean, I was sick on the New Year's, so it was really just watching movies and stuff with my dad. Which I mean, I feel like is like a nice way to kind of do it because I mean, you can't do anything anyway. As far as Christmas and things, it was just time well spent with family. I think was the best thing, especially with kind of life starting here soon, like real life. Well, obviously, like not real life, but like going into the real world and starting college and stuff. It was kind of nice to, even though quarantine sucked, it was nice to kind of have that to force us to all be together, like me and my dad and stuff. And a nice way to kind of spend last Christmas in high school. So I think that was probably the best gift I received, even though it's like not material, but to me, like those are the best gifts you can get. What about you?
That was really well thought out, and I had a couple of like intangible experiences, and I was just kind of like there was a lot of passion and compassion and just like a lot of things that like went down during winter break that I was glad to experience. One of the highlights was actually the Friday, like the last day of finals or the day after finals was the Mandalorian season finale, and me and a couple guys hopped on a Discord call at like 12 a.m. and we actually were like talking the whole time, hyping up the episode before we even watched it, and like we finished at like 1:30, and like that was just an experience. It's really good to like share the things you love with the people you love. And shortly after that was Christmas, and that was it wasn't as like boisterous as past Christmases have been, but it was definitely just good to be with my family, and have a little peace in the house. We had a cool Christmas tree, bunch of ornaments and stuff, and it was just I was really glad to spend time with them, and that's probably like the best possible finale I could have asked for out of this year. And I'm very thankful for the good things that happened last year.
Yeah,
The best things that could happen. So, yeah.
definitely. So ending 2020, obviously it was a big year for everyone. Everyone went through, it wasn't an easy year, but I mean, as we've already pointed out, you got to keep your bright side and stuff. So after 2020 and like looking back on it, what would you say is the like number one thing you learned and can like take from 2020 into the new year?
I feel like it reinforced what I hold to be like probably my golden ideal and what I've tried to apply to like my life in high school throughout like freshman year. And that is to just live in the moment and live without like true regret. And by doing like to live without regret, you have to kind of live in both, in all three, the past, the present, and the future. So you aren't currently doing things that you will regret in the future, and you learned not to regret them because you've made your mistakes in the past. And honestly, just 2020 itself was kind of a mistake, and just there's no one person or thing truly responsible for that. But I feel like for everyone, that year was kind of a wash, and it's kind of just like overwhelming to like realize that we're back here, just we've done like a full rotation and we're almost at March again, which is just pretty crazy. So I guess my takeaway is I think maybe I lived in the moment too much, because like it doesn't feel like that moment has passed. Like I still kind of like, I'm closer to my senior year than I was like my sophomore year, which is actually mind-boggling. And like I still feel like a junior, and even beyond that, I still feel like sophomore, freshman, middle schooler. I still feel like I'm in kindergarten sometimes, and that's just our weird interpretations of time, and just the way that we live through time. So yeah, that was kind of a weird response, but I feel like that's the best commemoration to 2020 when everything was weird. And what was your takeaway from your year?
Honestly, very similar to yours. I definitely agree with you about the whole time thing. It's just like kind of crazy to me that we're in our last semester of high school. Like you said, like I still feel like a freshman. Like I'm, first year back in high school. In reality, it's almost 4 years now. And I definitely would say not taking things for granted is probably the biggest thing I took out of that, because we went from having our even the small things like seeing our friends every day. I never really thought that was such a big deal until it was taken away from us. And obviously it's difficult, thinking like, oh, we went 3.5, or I guess not 3.5, like 2.5 years through high school with seeing our teachers 5 days a week, seeing our friends almost every day, like depending on your lifestyle, being able to do sports, being able to do like all the things we love with the people we love. And then we went from having that to not having it, and it just kind of, it makes you reflect on everything that you really are thankful for in life, so that was probably my biggest takeaway. And definitely, like you said, tying into that is like living in the moment, because I think in order to live in the moment, you have to be grateful for everything you have. And if you're not, then it's kind of hard to really appreciate everything you have and live, life to the fullest, as cliche as it is. So,
Yeah, and I think that really, the best thing we can do is like take everything we learned and applied it to this new year. And and with us saying this doesn't exactly entail like that just because the last digit of like the system of years that we created is different now. It doesn't mean that everything has to be the exact same. So I understand that like a lot of my peers, my friends, my family, and sometimes even myself are kind of just overwhelmed by it all. It's hard to really start to make change. And there's an importance in realizing when you're ready to move on and like motivate yourself. Because, looking back and just thinking about what an experience everything that happened was, and just how impactful it will be for the next few years, that's like a kind of terrifying reality we have to face. But it's important to just accept that in the ways that we can, and learn how to live with it in a way. And there's still many things to look forward to hope for with the developments of the vaccine, and just our understandings of things now. It's kind of crazy that we're in the worst part of it in this moment. but like in a simple, broad, basic way, I feel like we've learned in our own safest ways possible, we've learned to live with it, and we'll continue to learn to grow with it and grow beyond it. And yeah,
Yeah,
just there's a lot to look forward to within the year.
definitely.
And
I will say, okay, like I don't want to get like too like inspirational, but I was told something that's like really helped me go into 2021 with a positive mindset. One of my kind of like influencers in life, one of my mentors, we were talking, and she was saying how like 2020 is a lot to process. I mean, I'm still processing March of 2020, and we're almost at March of 2021 type of thing. And she was saying how, like, you know, like when your phone gets like to max storage, you can't add anything more to it. Like your photos, for instance. And she was saying like that's how life is right now. You know, you have a bunch of like these backed up memories, and sometimes you gotta clear space to make new ones to be able to move on through it. And like that's really what's got me going through 2021 right now with the positive mindset. Is like there's a lot to process through 2020, and you could keep on to all your bad memories, all the struggles we went through, but instead you should like make room for new ones and use your bad struggles and things to I mean, have a more positive outlook and use those struggles to create better experiences in the future. So
that's a really good metaphor, and especially in our age of technology we're in, like it's kind of like crazy to recognize like the amount of times that we're like on a screen all day long. And I know that kind of sounds like boomerish, if you will, but it is just appreciating the small things, you know. I had to run and get groceries the other day, and uh Vaughn's and Sprouts didn't have like what I was looking for, or like what my family sent me to get. So I had to go down to the Whole Foods, and it was, like off a baseline or something, and I took like a road that I'd never been on before, and it was just like such a cool and like something as minor as a grocery store trip, but it like the road that I took, it had the most perfect and beautiful view possible of the sunset. And you know, that is pretty cliche, but it was still really cool to at least just like go out and, you know, witness that, something spontaneous. Like I wasn't planning on being in awe of what happens literally every day,
yeah,
but you know, witnessing that when you're not expecting it, it was just I don't know, it was kind of just, again, you just, all of the little things in life, wherever you can find them,
yeah,
and the
absolutely.
most that we can do, and the most what we make of.
Yeah. So our last question before, or like not last question, but like discussion, I guess you could say, point before we have our guest. So going into 2021, what is like your major points that you like, your major goals or major things you are looking forward to?
It's funny like to really think about that, because um I like kind of wanted to just get involved with a few people on Instagram. So like I put up a thing like asking people for the resolutions, and I feel like that was a cool way to get connected to people, and also just like seeing how they're reflecting and moving forward from the new year. And I read through all of them, and I like tried to find something to say about all of them, because a lot of them were like high aspirations, some of them were kind of the small things that we might not even think of. And I kind of said that because I realized I didn't quite have one concrete one. So resolution wise, there's a bunch that kind of just like fly through my head. Um, I'm like, one of them is like I'm planning to on getting a job, so I can help provide for a lot of experiences that, like, you know, kind of require money and stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like that would be a good motivator, and just like add some commitment and obligation in my life. And um because otherwise I feel like I'm kind of just like sitting at home all day. And you know, that sounds kind of weird to say like you want to go work, but
That's part of growing up,
I
I
feel
think.
like that I feel like that's a good like place for me to start. And like kind of a cooler one is like I really want a car, because just like the idea of having like your own car, it's like something that a lot of people like don't quite have. And like I take out my dad's car because like he works at home, so he doesn't really have to use it at all. And it's not like I do anything cool, like I said, I just go grocery shopping. But like to have like my own vehicle, man, that just like that's something I want to work forward to. So do you have any resolutions or goals?
Um, I think everyone has their own like cliche resolutions, but overall, I just like want, I'm going to use 2021 to really work on like personal growth, self-growth. And I think, at least personally for me, it's what's most needed, especially like, graduating high school, going into college and stuff. Like it's a really big step in just like life in general. So you gotta be your best self before you can, as you're going into like your new point in life. So like that's probably like my biggest resolution, I guess you could say, is really just working on like myself. Goal wise, right now is committing to a university, because that's the biggest thing. But as it is, I would say that's probably my biggest thing. Two things for 2021.
Welcome back. Dr. Brownbridge is here with us. Doc, if you have anything to say about yourself, what you do.
Okay. Yeah, well, thanks for having me, guys. I'm Dr. B, Brownie, Brownbridge, whatever you want to call me. I'm the Assistant Principal of Educational Services, which means I oversee all the activities on campus. I oversee grounds, custodial, construction that's going on. Also the student store, ASB. I don't know if I mentioned clubs, if I said clubs, but so I get all the fun stuff, I think. I mean, everything that has to do with school culture. I feel that I am fortunate that I did get to be a part of that. Now with, the current situation, my job has changed quite a bit to where now I'm making sure that when students do return, all the classrooms are ready to go, it's safe, making sure that PPE is there and available. So my job's a lot different this year than it was in years prior.
Yeah, well, we definitely all appreciate everything you do for our campus. So could you explain kind of how you got to where you are today with your career? What journey you took?
Oh, wow. That's a long one. So I'm kind of all over the place. I went to Upland High School for 2 years, and then I transferred to Eisenhower High School. I played music. I was in a band growing up, so I thought that I'd be a rock star, and we went on tour for a little while. And then I also wrestled in college, and our band was doing well, so I stopped wrestling to pursue my musical dreams. And we did okay. It was fun. Then we decided that it wasn't going to work out, and so I went to school and wasn't sure what I was going to do. Started to go towards the law enforcement side. Ended up realizing I'd rather make an impact on students or kids before I have to meet them as a law enforcement officer. And so then I decided to get into education. My parents were teachers, my grandparents were teachers, so I knew that path. And then when I completed my program, which took me 9 years to get my undergrad, and then through 18 months to get my master's and credential, and then 3 years to get the doctorate. So I kind of flew by the last part of it. And then with admin, I just felt that in this role, I get to have a lot of different influences in so many different areas and on so many different students and staff members. As a teacher, the thing that I miss most is the individual relationships that I get to have or got to have with students. And that's not necessarily a big part of this role, which is the one thing that I really do miss. But I do see value in the role that I have now as an administrator. Hopefully that summed it up. I did construction too for like 12 years and I still do it. So I'm like I said, all over the place.
That's awesome.
That's a really interesting and diverse pathway. And that was kind of like really cool to hear. Like I actually didn't know you were a musician. What did you play?
Yeah, I was gonna ask the same thing.
Yeah, so I started playing the piano when I was 5, and I played till I was 14. I played the baritone and I played the trumpet in jazz band for a number of years. And then I got on the drums and I started playing the drums in the band. So this wasn't a front man face. This is more like a guy in the back smiling and keeping the beat. So,
That's so awesome.
Yeah, I mean, like, um, what some of the kids who like haven't been on Alta Loma before is like, I knew you had the beard and the tattoos and like kind of like the musician part, like the rock star thing, kind of like puts it all together. And I play the saxophone and Sky sings, and like we're kind of like the musical side of this, and that's just really cool to hear. And I feel like it reaches out to a lot of people who also had like similar interests, like those interested in law enforcement or teaching or construction, like you said. So it's really cool to like see how much passion that you've had that's like brought you to this place, and that's something I feel like, you know, with you being an administrator here, that's something we're all grateful for.
oh,
So
thank you very much. I do believe that the experiences that I had, like the multiple areas, really does lend itself for me to relate to staff and students. So I appreciate you recognizing that. I got my Taylor 714 over there too, so I do play the guitar as well.
oh, that's
That's
awesome.
awesome. um, so obviously we just got done with a crazy year. Ben and I were just kind of discussing 2020 and then our outlook on it and our hopes and, you know, what we're looking forward to for 2021. So looking back, obviously, you have a different perspective because you are an administrator. So you not only see how it affected us, but you also know how it affected you and the staff. So looking back on 2020, what would you say one was the biggest struggle for you as an administrator of a high school that got shut down midway through a year? And what was also your biggest takeaway and like lesson from it?
So I think my biggest struggle by far was the fact that I wasn't serving students in person. I really felt like when I got the orders that I've got to shut down athletics, I got to shut down, you know, the music, fine arts department, that crushed me a little bit, because I know for so many students that that's a place of refuge, a place that you can, you know, be yourself, find yourself. So for me, that was the most difficult thing by far. I think the biggest takeaway that I've had to do for myself is to maintain an optimism, because you can get bogged down by the negative thoughts, the negative situation, and it can affect lifestyle, the way you treat people. So having that optimistic mindset has helped me manage through it. And mind you, it took me a couple months to get out of that rut, because I was really frustrated with how it was going. And you know, all the whatever you want to believe about what's going on and how you feel about it, it is what it is. So you have to deal with it, embrace the suck, so to speak, and support other people. I got back to calling people and loving on them like I used to before. So being optimistic and realize, hey, this isn't forever, and I choose how I want to feel, and I choose how I want to behave according to what's been handed me.
Absolutely. I think that's really a great point to be made for anyone, especially I lost my train of thought what I was going to say, but I think that's a great point to make.
Yeah, and what we oh
No, go.
okay. So what we were discussing beforehand was kind of just like our how 2021 is like a really good chance to start being optimistic again, and just take every day day by day, and add a bit more hope into our lives. And like you summed up your thoughts on how you got through 2020. So our question is like, what are your hopes and resolutions for this next year? And yeah, like what are you hoping on?
I mean, my biggest hope is that we can return to some type of normalcy as far as students returning to school. I think that is really important. Whether it happens or not, Again, we can't control that. But my hope above everything is that students learn grit and resiliency and stick-to-itiveness through hard times, because in the long run, that's what's really going to make a serious impact on your future. You can always look back on what you've gone through, what you struggled with, to push you forward through other struggles that you have in the future. There's a saying that in my doc program, through fire comes steel. And what that means is, in order to make hardened metal, hardened steel, you have to put it in fire. You have to burn out all the impurities. You have to make that material be under pressure. And then once it goes through that process, it's refined into a fine piece of steel. So that is my hope, that students are going through this process right now. They're in the furnace. They're dealing with some really crappy situations. And at the end of the day, they're stronger for it. And they have an example of how strong they are.
I
Thank
think
you.
that's very inspirational. Yes. So we had a student, Austin Pratt, a fellow senior at Alta Loma, ask, "What will you try to improve on in 2021?"
Austin Pratt, sounds familiar. What I will try and improve on is being more involved with groups, with students, with staff members. One of the other struggles when there's nobody here is that you kind of get bottled up in your own life, my own desk. So getting myself uncomfortable and reaching out to those student groups and teacher groups, and just either checking in on them or supporting them in some way. So that is my goal, is to be more involved that way.
You know, it's kind of funny, like we have like an announcements portion, and both of the announcements for this week were about your emails. So I hope that you recognize that
Oh, cool.
you have been involved with the students lately, and yeah, we appreciate that.
Are they?
Yeah.
I always try and throw some type of humor in it. So when you're reading them, look for little hints of humor, because I'm not your typical administrator, and I'm me. So I have to put something in there. And whether I misspell something or I miss something, that probably is fine too. So I'll say about that. It's unintentional.
Yeah.
So do you have, I think that kind of concludes that part of our discussion. Do you have anything you want to say to our student body and anyone who listens in on the podcast?
I do. I'd say, if you need somebody to talk to and reach out to, do it. I'm here. My phone rings all the time. I usually pick it up, but I'm on this interview. And there's a lot of people that care and love our Braves and love you guys and want to support you. So you're not alone. I know sometimes it may feel that way, but reach out. Make those connections, because that's your support group. Whether you make fresh ones or you rely on old ones, I think that's important to do. And I'm here for you. So I don't care if I get 100 calls from students a day. Let's go. I'm here.
Absolutely. We absolutely appreciate that about you too.
So that was I mean, when you have a lot of baggage of an old year and you're already packing your bags for the next year, that can get pretty emotional and pretty passionate. And that's something that I'm really glad that we could discuss.
Definitely. Definitely feel like it was a needed discussion. Pretty good episode, I'd say, today.
Yeah.
So before we close out, I do have one last thing I'd like to announce. It's about the podcast. So obviously, as everyone knows, our four main hosts, we're all seniors. And so we're going to be graduating, and we are in need of people who are wanting to get involved with the podcast within the coming years, and people that want to be involved in continue on this, hopefully, legacy that we can carry on throughout the years of Alta Loma. So if you are interested, please don't be afraid to reach out to us. all of our information and our ads will be in the link in the description below. Instagram, you can DM us. If you know any of us personally, get in contact, please. Like, we'd love to have more people involved in this. Yeah, so with that, thank you guys for tuning in. And it's been a great first episode back for 2021.
I'm really looking forward to something great. And I'd love, to get in contact with a lot of the diversity of this school. And it's something beautiful and something that I'm most proud of to be a Brave is just seeing like how far like the reaches of this term goes and how much like just the school of Alta Loma means to different people. And I think that's something that I really hope to capitalize on with the second semester of being a host. I love to talk to new people and just get more people involved. Yeah, I feel like that's something really important. Just like, because I know there's people that have just as much passion as like me, Skylar, Harrison, and Delaney. And I feel like a lot of people would be interested to hear in that. So please reach out to us, our socials, everything this guy said. Just thank you guys so much.
Yeah, stay brave, Alta Loma.
Peace out, guys.
Feel like a typo. Hey, go back from your past.
Yeah, so with that, do you have any questions for us or anything?
What has been your biggest struggle?
Finn, do you want to go first? Do you want me to?
I can go. Are you asking like with us being hosts or just in general, like kind of a one-on-one?
Let's say because school was removed, at least in person, because of that, what has been the biggest struggle?
Okay. For me personally, it's I'd say I got really involved like in my sophomore and junior years, and at times it got to like really stressful points, and but I kind of like having school kind of like taken away, and like these in-person activities that really require group mentality, group presentation, and like something you can't do on your own, like a band and drama and link crew that I was in as a junior. And so I'd say like when you're within those group mentalities and you're together, you kind of become like a family, and it becomes like a home away from home, and it really pushes you and motivates you and makes you feel grateful for all the strife that you've been through. So I definitely say like just not having like practices, competitions, performances, things like that, and creating bonds and memories with other people. We can try our hardest, but there's a bit of a core that like we can't like emulate through the screen. So I feel like that was the biggest that's been the biggest struggle so far, and that's something that like with me being a senior, like I wish I had better closure on. And like I understand that like at this current time it's not something possible, and like I've learned to accept some of those things, but that's like just something that I look back on fondly, just the memories I created with those guys and girls and people and everyone.
Yeah.
So Sky.
Yeah, so I feel like we're very similar, me and Finn, in that part, as we are both performers. We're both part of the our wonderful drama department and our music department at school. So for me, I can also relate on going from being able to do our performances, being able to rehearse in a setting with our peers, and like he said, like definitely in drama and in the music department, you spend so much time in rehearsal that you are a family. Like it's your second family, it's your family away from home. So being able to, going from seeing them every day and being able to rehearse with them in person to doing it over Zoom and not having that real connection was definitely a struggle for me. But not only just that, but not being able to personally connect with my teachers too, because I loved like my teachers last year. Like I was close with all of them, and then going into my senior year. And I think the biggest struggle on the part of connection was that it is my senior year, so I'm not making those final connections. And like Finn said, getting that closure. So knowing that we have the possibility of not going back to school this semester, and spending an entire year in socially distanced Zoom learning. It's a bit of a struggle to find that motivation since I don't have that connection, because the connections is what kept me motivated in school. Well, one of them. Just knowing that I could like go an entire year without personally meeting my teachers in person, or seeing my friends in person, or staff and stuff like that's been my biggest struggle, is like coming to terms with that. But
Now, what's something positive that's been a result of all this shutdown and negativity that's surrounding us?
That's a really good question, because we gotta like find it where we can. For me, I kind of like said it before that, like, as much as I loved everything I was involved in, it was draining. And you can kind of get caught up in the moment and like not think of like everything that you're doing. So our last week before like it happened on that Friday the 13th of March, which was pretty scary, but I had so many things like going on that week. Like I had big tests. I had our spring show was going to open up the next week, and like I was still scrambling for like lines for a role I just got. A couple of concerts. My driver's test was the next week, and I was just like, I'm getting so burnt out, like, and I kind of need a break. And a break I definitely got like a pause. And while like, I feel like what I can like appreciate is those are all like group activities, and sometimes you kind of have to like switch between various moods and accommodate to a bunch of other people, that you start to like you spread yourself so thinly that you forget to focus on yourself, which is like just something important that that thankfully this past year I've been really able to hone in on. I feel like I've grown as an individual musician, and just like come to terms with a lot of things that allow me to focus on me. And while I'm not as productive in some of those departments as I wish I should be, a lot of that is accepting what we can do right now with yourself and what you have. So I'd say like just focusing on myself as much as I can is something that I've enjoyed.
That's great. Thank you.
I feel like I'm just copying Finn here, but that was my positive too that came out of it, was because I was also extremely busy. And I mean, like I still, like we all are so busy, but in a different type of form of busyness, I guess you could say. But going through being stuck at home and being kind of like, got to keep to yourself, was being able to, I feel like in 2020, I kind of truly like found myself, and like who I want to be as a person, and like my goal, like my main goal in life, like that was like my main positive in 2020, was like realizing like, I put a lot of my time into others, like, and I still will always do that because I feel like that's important, but I never put enough time in for myself. So going through 2020 and being stuck at home, I not only was able to find like kind of work towards finding my true self, but also like work on my passions. Like I've come so far in my music too. And though it's like been a struggle because I've been so used to like being the past 10 years, all my music was in a group setting. I never really truly got to focus on like how to strengthen it myself. And so I will say like being able to just strengthen my already previous, like maybe like weaker strengths, was been like the biggest positive out of 2023.
Nice.
Yeah.
Great. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. So with that, thank you so much for coming in. We definitely.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Likewise. We miss you guys to death. So really, we can't wait to get you back, and I hope you guys get to come back before the end of the semester. I don't make policy; I just follow it. So
Yeah.
But yeah, we think about you guys all the time. So
We really appreciate everything you guys do, and I hope you guys are just aware of like just how much of an impact, and like how like you guys are really making this as smooth as possible. And while it's not ideal, it is definitely I don't think it could be better. I think you guys are doing a really good job, and we all really appreciate the connections that you guys have made.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Definitely could have made it without you guys.
you guys are great. Couldn't do it without you either. you ever need me, call me.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Take care, guys. You guys do
Thanks.
Bye.
Have a good day.
You too.